Okay, deep divers, you ready to dive in? Today we're looking at something everyone's talking about, the Malaysian Ringgit. It's making a comeback. I bet some of you have even noticed it yourselves, maybe across the Causeway. But what's actually going on? Why is this happening? That's what we're going to unpack today. Got some interesting stuff to dig through today, from today, Nikkei to Asia, even Bloomberg and the Star. So we're covering a lot of ground here. This isn't just some boring economics lecture. Okay, we're talking investments, we're talking about global currencies, the whole nine yards. So think back to February, right? The ringgit was at an all-time low. And now, boom, total turnaround. We're talking a solid 2.2% jump against the Singapore dollar. And honestly, that might just be the beginning.
Yeah, it's been impressive, hasn't it? I mean, looking across Asia, it's been one of the strongest currencies, period. Not just against the Sing dollar either. And there's a reason for it. It's not random.
The Today article really jumps right into it, talking about how the Malaysian government's encouraging those big companies to bring their money back home, swap it for ringgit, right?
Yeah.
Almost like, what would you call it, a strategic cash infusion?
Yeah, exactly, like a shot in the arm. It's classic government intervention, right? And look, it's working, that's clear. But here's what I find really interesting. This isn't some quick fix, This is bigger.
Oh.
The Malaysian government, they've been making some serious changes, real structural changes to the economy. Fiscal reforms, they're even cutting back on subsidies, which
is never a popular move, right?
Never. It takes guts, but it shows they're serious thinking long term.
So it's a long game they're playing.
Absolutely. And you combine that with the fact that their GDP growth is already looking good, and suddenly Malaysia's looking pretty attractive, especially to foreign investors.
Because they see stability, but they also see, what, potential?
Growth potential, yeah. And when investors get excited, what do? They bring their money in, and that just pushes the ringgit up even more.
It's like they're saying, we believe in the Malaysian economy.
Exactly. A big vote of confidence. And this is where it gets even more interesting because, see, the ringgit success story, it's not happening in a vacuum. The articles from Nikkei Asia, Bloomberg, they all point to the same thing. We're talking multi-year highs here. And not just against the Singapore dollar, but against the US dollar too.
So it's not just a Malaysian story then, huh? This is about the whole global currency game-changing. Okay, now this is getting good. Tell me more.
You got it. And this is where it gets really interesting, right? Because currencies, it's all relative. One's strength is tied to another's weakness. And the US dollar, well, it's been on a bit of a roller coaster lately, to say the least. So naturally, that makes other currencies, like the ringgit, look even stronger.
It's a seesaw, right? One side goes up.
In a way, yeah.
But there's always more to it than that, right?
Yeah.
What else is pushing the ringgit up?
Oh, absolutely. The US dollar story is just one piece of the puzzle. Another key factor is this idea of yield differentials.
Okay, yield differentials, huh? Sounds kind of complicated. Yeah, break that one down for me.
Right. Nah, it's actually pretty simple when you think about it. Imagine this. You got some cash, right? You want to invest it. So you could put it in a savings account, say, here, gets you maybe 1% back. But then there's this other country, Malaysia in this case, and they're offering, say, 3% on a similar account. That difference there, those 2 percentage points, that's your yield differential.
So basically, higher interest rates in Malaysia equal more appealing to investors.
Investors, they're all chasing the best return, right? So when a country's like, hey, come on over, we got better rates over here, well, it's like a magnet for foreign money. More money flowing in. That equals higher demand for ringgit. Higher demand pushes that value up.
Okay, yeah, starting to see the whole picture now. But let's get real for a sec. What does this actually mean for, you listening right now? Strong ringgit, it sounds good on paper, but how does it actually affect us, day to day? Should I be booking that shopping spree in KL, or are we talking something bigger here?
Well, if a little retail therapy in KL is what you're after, I'd say now's a pretty good time. Stronger ringgit means those Singapore dollars. They go further. Whether it's electronics, clothes, even things like healthcare, education, it's all going to feel a bit cheaper.
Singapore dollar going further, huh? Love a good built-in discount. But hold on, what about those of us thinking about, actual investments? Any opportunities there?
Absolutely. Strong currency can be a good indicator, right? Shows you the economy's in a good place, it's growing. And that often translates into some pretty sweet investment opportunities. Now, I'm not saying it's some get-rich-quick scheme, but looking long-term, the Malaysian market's got some potential.
So we talk to Malaysian stocks, real estate maybe?
Yeah.
Bit of portfolio diversification.
You got it. Spreading that risk, tapping into different areas of growth. Of course, got to add this disclaimer here, right? Any investment, do your homework. Understand the risks, talk to a financial advisor, that whole shebang. Make sure it aligns with your goals.
All right. Always good advice. But okay, so we've covered the good stuff. Cheaper shopping, potential investment haven. But it can't all be smooth sailing, can it? That Start article, they were optimistic, but they did mention some potential speed bumps for the ringgit.
Good catch. You got to look at both sides of the coin, right? The ringgit might be riding high now, but there are always external factors that could throw a wrench in the works.
Like what? Spill the tea.
Well, the global economy, it's like a constantly shifting landscape, right? Geopolitical events, you got commodity prices going haywire. All these things create volatility in the currency market.
Even with strong fundamentals, external factors can still rock the boat.
Exactly. And another thing to remember, Malaysia's still pretty reliant on exports, especially electronics, commodities, that sort of thing. If global demand for that stuff weakens, the ringgit, it's going to feel the pressure.
So not a guaranteed win then.
No.
Okay, what I'm hearing is ringgit looking good, sure. But important to stay informed, keep an eye on the bigger picture both in Malaysia and globally.
100%. Don't go making any rash decisions based on the exchange rate alone. Look deeper, understand what's driving that strength, and as always, diversify that risk.
Solid advice. But you said something earlier that really caught my attention. This idea that the ringgit's rise, it could be a sign of like a bigger shift happening, right? A global economic shift.
Yeah.
Now that's something I want to unpack a bit more. It's like suddenly those weekend trips to JB for like cheaper groceries, it's not just about grabbing a bargain anymore. You know, it's like you're getting a glimpse into this whole other future where like the economic power is shifting, right?
It's a really compelling thought, isn't it? For so long, we've seen certain currencies, the US dollar being the big one, just dominating the global scene. But what if this is the start of something different? What if emerging economies like Malaysia, they're not just catching up, they're becoming the major players, the innovation, the tech, even manufacturing.
So it's not just about a good exchange rate. It's what that represents, about the future.
Exactly. It's about the underlying strength, the potential for growth. It's about a global shift. Now, whether this actually reshapes the entire world order, that's a whole other question, right? But it's definitely something to watch, to pay attention to.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, what are the big takeaways you want our listeners to walk away with today?
I'd say, first off, don't underestimate what a shifting currency landscape really means. This isn't just numbers on a screen. This affects everything. Our own spending power, global investments, it's all connected.
Yeah, it's about those trips to JB, but it's bigger than that too, right? Like how the whole world economy is changing.
100%. And second, strong currency, it's great, don't get me wrong, but it's not some magic solution for every economic problem. Malaysia, they've done really well, but they still have challenges to address. We talked about global factors, relying on exports, and they've got to keep making those reforms.
So celebrate the wins, but stay aware of the potential bumps in the road.
Exactly. And finally, I always say this, but look beyond the headlines. Don't just follow trends blindly. Try to understand what's causing them, what's happening in Malaysia right now, the ringgit's rise. It's all part of a much bigger story, a global story of economic change.
A story that's still being written, for sure. And this deep dive, it's given us a lot to think about, that's for sure. So next time you find yourself across the Causeway, maybe enjoying that favorable exchange rate, just remember, you're not just getting a good deal, you might be catching a glimpse of what the future holds for the global economy,
And that's what makes it all so exciting, right?
Absolutely. All right, deep divers, until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those questions.